Live. Hello and welcome back to Back on Track. I'm going to just hang out here for a second because our events have got disconnected. Thank you, StreamYard. And so I'm going to see if now that we're live, if I can see our new event to sync it up to our other event. Gotta love technology, folks. Oh, here we go. Yes. So now I can see that we are live on LinkedIn. Huzzah. And I'm going to go over to the old link and let people know that we have moved. Alrighty. And then we will get this party started. If you are here with us today, please say hello. We would love to hear from you and hang out and know what's going on. All right. Let me just comment here. If you're joining us today, head on over to this link and say hi. All right. Comments. There we go. Excited. Today, I am super excited for our conversation because I'm having a blast in the past join us on this episode. Ashish was on our show, I think it was almost 2 years ago, where we talked about product marketing, and he's coming back to give us an update on how life has been going, what he's been up to, and where he's looking to go next. I'm your host, Carrie Gard, CEO and co-founder of MKG Marketing, where we help B2B tech brands get found across SEO and digital ads. And we keep getting rehired. It's pretty magical. It's happening right now where our clients are expanding and they're bringing us on to do more. And it's just, I'm just so in awe of my team and the great work that they do. And this is just such a testament when clients really trust us to just keep on going. It's pretty magical. So that's what we got going on. Real quick about Ashish, if you didn't join in our last episode, Ashish Malpani is head of product and alliances marketing at Corelight. He's a 24-year tech veteran who's done the hard version of this work, migrating tens of thousands of legacy enterprise customers in 2 quarters at Dell, unifying 10 distinct cybersecurity product lines across under one human narrative, and building alliance ecosystems with names like Lexmark, Xerox, and Schindler. And lately, he's been building AI narrative and AI native product marketing from the inside, which is exactly the conversation our industry needs right now. Ashish, welcome to the show. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, super excited to be here, Kerry. Good to kind of chat again. It's an exciting time for us as marketers today, right? Where, AI has been impacting everything, and it has impacted marketing too. We've seen AI being used in our technology stack to AI being used for content creation, but I think it needs to go beyond that, and that's what I've seen how kind of the AI native product marketing or even product marketing being evolved as a discipline going forward.
Yeah, it's interesting right now. There's so much now. There seems to be camps people. Either everybody's good with AI and you use AI to write your content and all is hunky dory. We don't care how the content gets made. We just care that it exists. And there's the other camp who is a bit purist of like, there's lots of things AI can do and writing content is not one of them. Please stop. And actually, LinkedIn, just saw this today. LinkedIn created a button that says, looks like AI slop. So now you
Yeah.
can actually, I guess, let LinkedIn know what you think is AI and not. So that's very interesting. So yes, it does seem to be the time, and there's definitely these two camps. So what camp do you fall in, Ashish? Do you feel like you can use um, AI to write content? Do you feel like you need to not do that? What's sort of your POV?
So I think we need to take a step back and see again. AI is a useful kind of AI is useful across our workflows, right? Whether you are a field marketer, whether you are growth marketer, whether you're a product marketer, AI can be used in a variety of different ways, and you have to decide like what is best for your target audience, who are you trying to reach, how effective you are today, in order to reach them, and how is AI going to help you improve your existing workflows? I mean, ultimately, that's what the conversation needs to happen, right? From crafting a new websites or setting up, let's say, campaign websites to all the way to creating content, AI can be used in a variety of different ways. And I personally believe that when you look at content creation is one angle, but that's kind of the end product that you see. But there are other things that definitely impact and your day-to-day workflow in terms of how AI can be leveraged effectively. So I will start with an example, right? What again, there is a lot of this narrative around AI native marketing, AI native product marketing. What does it really mean? Right? Today, if you think about it, there is a lot of stuff being created and a lot of stuff being created with AI, and there is a lot of noise. I mean, that has created a lot of noise in the market. So when you look at your target audience, who you're trying to reach, they are, and we are all right faced with a bunch of stuff coming at us that some of it's relevant, some of it's interesting, and most of it isn't, right? So how do you, what I call it, signal, separating signal from the noise, right? And then ultimately, what is a signal? Signal is something that shows, okay, here is the fundamental shift that is happening. Here are things that are changing for your target audience. Here is what your competition is doing. And you have to understand that signal and adapt to that signal, because gone are the days where you could set like, oh, I'm going to do an yearly go to market plan and then act on it for the rest of the year. Or, here are the campaigns that I want to decide for the rest of the year and execute on them. I mean, that's no longer true because things have changed. I mean, stuff happens, you have to respond to that. And marketing's role has also changed, right? I mean, we are increasingly, marketing is being looked at as a growth driving engine. I mean, not just demand gen and MQL creation engine, or content, beautifying your text. That's not the role that we are in, right? I mean, ultimately, we are responsible for customer acquisition to keeping customer happy through kind of a constant education, as well as really driving customer satisfaction as a process. So I believe, when we look at AI native or marketing, um, let's the step one for me is separating signal from the noise and really understanding what is the signal, what's it telling us, does it impact how our buyers are going to behave, right? Are their priorities changing? Are their pain points changing? I mean, and I come from cybersecurity background, so I would give you an example where Anthropic released a new model, or even OpenAI's model that escaped and started attacking other companies, right? So things like that are kind of a new norm, going to be a new norm where people are going to leverage AI for good things and bad things, right? So that when that happens, priorities are going to change overnight. So when Anthropic released this new model called Mythos, this model kind of shrunk the window of opportunity for exploitation of vulnerability from days to really hours. And it found
Yeah.
like vulnerabilities that existed in software products for decades. I mean, things that people have didn't realize that they were there. So what does that tell you is, as security leaders who are trying to minimize the risk, they have to be ready for it, and that became a priority overnight. So marketing had to respond to this, right? I mean, really, if you now look at every security vendor, they are talking about Mythos. I mean, there is post Mythos model. I mean, that's the narrative that exists today. But what that really meant from marketing perspective is recognizing this as a signal, understanding that this is going to impact your buyers' priorities, and how they're viewing evolution of their security programs, and then addressing that effectively, driving thought leadership around it, driving content creation around it, and making sure that you are actually connecting with their concerns, and they are also, while they are trying to figure out what this mean for them. So we are increasingly going to see that leveraging AI to drive signal as a step number one.
I I totally love signal versus noise because oh my gosh, there's so much noise. And Mythos is an interesting example in the fact that it was a really big signal. Um, can you give us an example of noise? Like what should we be blocking out right now that's really loud and maybe it's not something we should be paying attention to?
I mean, there is a lot of noise. I mean, you can see that there is, if you look at cybersecurity industry, like ransomware
Mm-hmm.
is a top priority for people, but it also help. I mean, it has also created a lot of noise. Every vendor has created their own ransomware narrative, and if I'm a security leader, I see this and like, okay, I hear different perspectives, different point of views from all these vendors, and I am kind of now on a receiving end trying to figure out what is good for me. And nobody's telling me that story, right? So, and the same thing is applicable in every industry. You look at somebody in kind of finance sector. Now, I am trying to figure out as a leader, I'm trying to figure out how to optimize my operations, how to kind of leverage AI. Um, but then at the same time, people are going rogue and doing their own AI things. They are trying to experiment with things on their own, and that really impacts my business. So I'm trying to lock down things, and that becomes a narrative for me. Right? That did not exist 6 months ago or a year ago. So there is a lot of noise that's been created by people leveraging kind of AI tools to create something that they believe is going to solve or do a band-aid in the short-term fix. Because that's what it is, right? People are just being responsive to whatever they are seeing in the market and kind of mistakenly taking that as a signal, creating something that's kind of doesn't hit the mark and really kind of missing the opportunity to reach out to their buyers effectively.
Yeah, there seems to be a clear difference between a signal versus a noise in regards to um, how many people are like. I feel like people sort of attach, like immediately jump on a bandwagon and then go after it, and then it fizzles out, and it wasn't really anything we should have cared about. How are you distinguishing between these things in regards to like Mythos was a big deal because and it came on fast. I feel like it's died down a little bit now, especially with Fable having come out and some of these other models. But I feel like the news, if we're attaching our campaigns and what we're trying to say to the market in line with what's happening in the market and the sort of news cycle, if you will, it feels like that's a lot of quick turnaround in terms of how what we need to be creating, what we need to be saying. Is that what we should? Is that how we should be aligning to creating content and being thought leaders? I mean, that feels that honestly that feels kind of tiring.
Yeah, and it is, right? I mean, think about this, right? Where yes, you have. I mean, there are certain things that are going to be true across every business. I mean, the way what the problems that you're solving are not. I mean, are fundamentally not going to change. Right? I mean, let's say you do like video analytics, for example, and or do sales enablement too, right? Where you are kind of educating the sellers in terms of how to be more effective in doing the job. Now, this is a problem that's the fundamental problem that you're solving because there gaps exist in the existing enablement infrastructure. If you are that vendor, but yes, there are going to be things that are going to happen. Somebody says, "Oh, there are as a seller, you only get 6 minutes to make an impression." One of the surveys came out recently that said you only get 6 minutes to make an impact on your
That's right.
buyer. So, are you going to tailor your message to that? I mean, it seems premature, but again, I mean, this is where human expertise needs to come in and really understand what is noise versus what is signal, right? And yes, I mean, some of this may feel like a lot of extra work, but this is where AI native marketing really comes in, right? I mean, once you identify what is a signal versus noise, understand that signal, then realize what is the impact of that signal. Are your buyers' priorities changing? Are their pain points changing? Is their buying criteria that's getting impacted? And more buyers are doing their journeys, or majority of their buying journeys offline. They are doing research on their own. I mean, leveraging AI tools on their own. And then lastly, when you look at kind of buyers are not kind of, there is no singular buyer anymore. Every decision is done by buying committee, and it
Yeah.
includes finance to legal to security. It doesn't
Hmm.
matter what product you sell. There are multiple business functions that are involved in the buying decision. So now, as marketers, now it becomes your responsibility to kind of reach out to these audiences effectively, give them the your point of view, and make them understand why your product has a differentiated offering. And so, once you kind of separate and get the signal, understand what the impact of the signal is, then you have to look at how does this, what needs to change in your existing campaigns, in your existing content, in your existing outreach, for us, I mean, for you to be kind of responding to whatever is top of mind for your buyers in that quarter, in that 6 month time frame. And I think
Are you
this is,
talking?
yeah.
Are these like tweaks and iterations in terms of just sort of swapping your, keeping your messaging core to who you are and what you do, but then just layering in this nuance of what's happening in the market? It feels like it could either be really subtle. I don't feel like you're saying you should do a complete rewrite. Am
Mhm.
I picking up
Yeah,
on that?
exactly, right? So when going back to the Mythos example, right? Mythos came in. I mean, your fundamental message won't change, but ultimately now you're kind of tasked with figuring out what is your point of view around Mythos. What does it? How do you want to change your approach? I mean, does your BDR sequence needs to change? Does your email outreach needs to change? Does it? I mean, do the content that you already have in the market, do they have to be updated to incorporate the Mythos narrative? And if the answer, for example, in this case was yes, but I mean, it may be kind of maybe or yes in other cases, but that decision needs to be a human decision, and then you look at that and kind of drive that downstream, and so that your message, your content, your outreach is updated. And it may seem like a lot of work, but this is where I think leveraging AI effectively and having that kind of as your native marketing capability definitely helps.
So where does AI come in then in terms of along this track of reading the signal, understanding how it impacts your audience, to then getting into market? Is it every step of the way? How does AI help make take sort of the load off?
Yeah, so I categorize it in kind of four buckets, right? One is really AI helping you capture the signal. Now you look at what does that mean? I mean, you look at your market analysis, you're looking at your win loss, you're looking at your kind of industry analysis, and competitor moves, and then ultimately, is there a narrative on from a community perspective? I mean, this is where kind of collecting that signal, analyzing it, and then kind of understanding the impact. Uh, this is where AI can help. The next step is a judgment kind of. This is where you, as humans, have to understand. Okay, what is the point of view? Does our positioning needs to be updated? Does the prioritization needs to be updated? And if the answer is yes, then you can use AI for production engine, right? I mean, this is where you can have agents and skills and content creation and personalization, and really kind of looking at your buyer's committee. See, okay, does this need to be updated for my economic buyer, my kind of somebody who's actually having an influence on the decision, but not an economic buyer? I mean, your buyer committee and how you're going to tailor that message, and then ultimately measuring the impact of your efforts. And AI can help you there as well, right? Really understand if the share of voice is changing, is the pipeline getting impacted by your kind of change in the messaging, change in the outreach? Are the win rates getting impacted?
It sounds like you're giving AI a lot of first party data in terms of helping it read the signal, in terms of understanding the impact on the campaign. And it sounds like if it does have first party data, then having it write messaging to tailor to each individual audience can work and be helpful. Am I picking up on
Yeah,
that?
I mean, it's not without human oversight. I mean, that is where human
Sure.
expertise comes in, right? I mean, yes, AI can create, like, I mean, but I definitely see the point of view being crafted by humans. As marketers, we can say that, okay, this is the core or evolution of our message. This is the evolution of our outreach, and then now figure out how we can incorporate it in all these assets that are there, all these kind of messages and emails and all of I mean, the kind of campaign pages that are already out there. So I think the core has to be still driven by humans, but at the same time, I mean, AI can help kind of with the downstream process.
It sounds like it can help us get more personalized too. I feel like that's been something we've been chasing for so long, but it's been so manual that people sort of avoided it. But now with AI, I've been hearing more and more about how folks, especially from like a cold outreach, I'm not usually a big fan of cold outreach, but I do think if it's really tailored to the person, to what they're doing, and to the pain that they're feeling, it. I mean, I never in my life have I bought something from cold outreach until one day something showed up in my inbox at the exact right time to say, this is what we do and this is how we solve it. And let me know if you're interested. And I was like, actually,
No,
you
I mean,
couldn't have picked a better time. So yeah,
I
it can
definitely
work.
see that, right? I mean, the research being tailored, I mean, and the outcome being tailored to you. I mean, I'll give you an example. And I got an email the other day that was talking about a fictional, not fiction I wrote years ago. And so definitely caught my eye. And then I
Yeah.
took the efforts to read the email, and I actually responded to them saying, "Hey, I'm not. This is not a good time." But I mean, I'm happy that you actually spent some time doing research and
Yeah.
created something that's tailored. I mean, even though you've used AI for most of it, I mean, it is definitely shows how AI can help you reach the audience and improve, let's say, your open rate, improve your awareness. Um, and that's definitely will become more and more important going forward.
I had an interesting conversation last night at our monthly meetup where we talked about, you mentioned campaigns a couple times. And one of the gals that joined us talked about how she felt like demand generation, because she's a demand marketer, was really shifting under her feet in regards to how campaigns worked.
Mhm.
Um, and she was saying that there needs to be an always on component, which I think there always needed to be, but even more so now, more than ever, there needs to be that always on component. And then she's actually moving campaigns to more of an ABX motion, which I feel like is what you're sort of talking about in regards to personalization and being in tune to the market. So I think both are true, but I feel like having only campaigns is definitely not something that works anymore, and needing that always on. But I can start to see, especially the way you're talking about AI native, how these things can now start to work together. Is that
Yeah, I mean,
something you're seeing?
definitely. I think ABX is going to be your key to kind of getting more qualified kind of inquiries. And I think we kind of went from heavy into physical events to kind of completely digital back to kind of physical, right? So what does again, I don't think there is any middle ground. You're going to constantly have to figure out what works for you, what works for your target audience and your business. But at the same time, even during physical events, right? What is the audience going to leave that event and after talking to you, right? I mean, you still have to. I think you still have to create something that's personalized for them to take home with. That way they will remember you and not five other vendors who are kind of doing the same thing. So from there to really getting something that's doesn't come across as creepy and really kind of having exhibiting a stalker behavior, but still showing that there is a personalization that's tailored to you. And it may not be the right time. I mean, I've in fact I worked with a vendor who I connected with like 3, 4 years ago, and at that time they didn't. But when I needed and I wanted that, because they left such a good impression that I, in fact, they were the first ones I called when the need arrived. So, um, things may change, things will shift, but ultimately, now you're playing in the long game. I mean, you're no longer just campaign outreach didn't work, quit. Your nurture game needs to be even longer and continue to be personalized. And this is where I think having AI and AI native tools in your kind of marketing stack is going to help. In some of the things that people are doing, right? I mean, even when once now the websites understand who you are in a way, because based on cookies that they're tracking, based on your past behavior. And so in some cases, the websites are in fact offering you a tailored experience because, let's say I am looking trying to shop for loan, and based on my behavior, the website knows probably like, okay, if I'm a first-time buyer, or I'm trying to buy
Mm-hmm.
something, or trying to buy a new car, or trying to get a new credit card, and that becomes their primary message based on their understanding. And I think this technology has been like experimental so far, but the personalization has gone to that level where your digital experience gets tailored to you. And now with
Mm-hmm.
AI, I mean, yes, you're starting with a chatbot and saying, okay, give me top five in this. So, or vendors that I want to reach out to, and you know, as marketers, our job has changed to be the top five choices that AI spits out, all the way to kind of, once the customer acquisition happens, kind of continue the effort in terms of retention and making sure that the customer is there for the longer term.
Marketing should never stop. This is true. This is true. Um, this is really interesting in terms of the the personalization piece of not being creepy. I agree with you there. Um, one of the things you mentioned in that was when you're talking about being at events and sounding like everybody else. I feel like AI is definitely making that easier.
Mhm.
I even got caught in the trap myself when I was doing my own positioning and messaging about a year ago, and I was really heavily, I had never really done positioning and messaging, and so I was relying heavily on AI to help me do this. And then all of a sudden I looked up and like all of us as agencies were saying the same thing of like, we're an operating system and we do this. And it's like, oh my gosh, everybody's saying this. And so, in terms of, I feel like in the way that AI operates in helping you be the answer, in terms of when somebody's searching for a solution and making sure that you're the recommendation, it's so important these days that you do not sound like everyone else. So, how are you balancing AI? You mentioned human in the loop, which I think is important, but how are you balancing that AI nativeness with ensuring that what you are saying is unique to who you are as a company? Because if you just sound like everybody else, you'll just be a footnote, you'll be a citation, and you won't be the recommendation.
I think this is where, as marketers, I don't think we need to worry about our job safety in a way, right? Because this is where human
True.
expertise need
Yes.
would come in. And I think yes, companies are making that pivot and going AI all the way, and it's gonna. I mean, I think at some point there will be a blowback. I mean, already you're seeing like AI slop being called out, and people are kind of tuning away from the content that they believe is AI created. And so I think this is where having the right experts, in subject matter experts in your marketing is gonna, I mean, definitely change the game. Like, you have to figure out, like, okay, what is when a new signal emerges? What is your point of view for that signal? How is it different? And let's say five vendors are saying the same thing, then you have to have something differentiated. Um, and this is where working closely with your kind of product teams, working closely with your product marketing, this is where things need to kind of constantly update so that you can separate yourself from the noise. And I don't think, you know, the right now everything seems to be like, oh, we need less marketers because we have AI tools that can do that effectively, and one person doing everything. And but ultimately, when you look at the output, you still question, yes, the workflow is getting streamlined, the kind of production timelines are getting squeezed, but is the quality there, right? I mean, do you see from graphics being created to the content that's being generated to the messaging that's there, I mean, is that repetitive? Is that same across the industry? And the latter is increasingly becoming true. So yes, there is a human intervention that's needed. There is kind of definitely room for us as marketers to figure out what is going to work best for our audience and what's our differentiated positioning and message there.
I love what you're saying about experts. Obviously, as an agency owner, couldn't agree more for obvious reasons, but also it's true. Like we've had clients let us go because they handed AI to their junior marketer and just said, "You can figure out SEO. Off you go. Good luck with that." And we've had other clients double down on us because they're like, nope, we need the experts in the room who know how to do this stuff because it is coming at us fast and it's changing, and we need people who are deep in the knowledge of this. And so, yes, to having the right experts, I think I thought AI was going to turn this on its head where it would make so much of what we do just easier. But I feel like it's in some regard made it so much harder. Messaging being definitely part of that, making sure that we don't sound like everybody else, but also simple enough that like anybody can understand it. Design agencies are definitely not going anywhere. They to be creative and to look different, absolutely, and AI definitely cannot do that yet. And then everything you're saying from just having that expert in that room and that expertise, I think is just absolutely critical. What else about being AI native do we need to be aware of in regards to making sure that we're balancing the AI with the human aspect? Is there any other blind spots that we
Yeah, I
haven't
mean,
covered yet?
and the last thing I would say is, we are also now responsible for figuring out why my AI is better than your AI. Right? So, I mean, every product that's out there is talking about AI, and then it becomes marketing's responsibility to say, here is why the way we do AI is better than what
Oh,
everybody
it's
else does.
true.
Right?
Everything's
So
AI first or AI native now in terms of messaging. It's so true.
yeah, and then I think it is. So when I look at, yes, I mean, AI is going to be a critical component going forward. Where it helps is streamlining your workflows, even shortening the workflows, and kind of optimizing your repetitive tasks, and in some cases, synthesizing how you are reaching out to different people in your buyer community, but I mean different, um, and then synthesizing messages across, let's say, verticals, industries, geos, whatnot. But at the same time, having the human in the loop is kind of really important. I mean, it doesn't matter what industry you are in, you have to have the human in the loop. And human, I mean, our role will change. I mean, we are no longer typing things. Again, we are directing the AI tools to kind of create the right output, create, do the analysis right. I mean, if you let AI do everything, it's going to analyze the way it is. It's going to fill in the gaps for the things that
So
doesn't
sad.
have. It will hallucinate. It will give you something that doesn't exist. Your messaging will fall flat. Your outreach will fall flat. So this is where our role is going to change from being the creators to being more of an orchestrators to validators and kind of then approvers of whatever is the output coming from the different AI tools. But I think there is no substitute for having the expertise as from your humans who are going to be important in this entire chain.
Let's talk about the efficiency piece for a second because you talked about streamlined, and I think sometimes we get caught up in the idea of things getting making us faster. I don't know about you, but I don't know that AI's necessarily made me faster. What it's allowed me to do is go deeper. And I feel like the products I'm developing now are better than ever because I'm able to be so much more critical and be able to do things I wasn't able to do before. Like in developing websites, I'm able to make things animate and move. I'm able to make sure that the architecture of the website is balanced between making sure bots can find it, but humans can convert on it. Um, and being more effective that way. But I don't know necessarily that I'm necessarily faster. So when you talk about streamlined, how do you see that in balancing those things of
So, I
efficiency
mean,
with
to your
accurate?
example, right? I mean, when you're creating a website, think about how much time it would have taken you in past to do whatever you're doing today. I mean, some of that wouldn't have been possible, but in order for you to create something that you're doing today, would have required a larger team, a longer timeline, and I think that's all is being compressed. And the thing that you said, right? You want now the website to be, kind of bots can find it, humans can read it, humans would appreciate, the effort that has
Convert on it.
gone in, but at
Mm-hmm.
the same time, when the bots scrape it and try to figure out why your company should come up in their list of top 5, list of top 10. Um, so I think it's very, it's important. And I still, when I do my research today, and I use Claude kind of 100% of the time. And some of the websites do not like allow Claude to kind of read them, to analyze it,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is a miss, right? I mean, ultimately, if you're not allowing um, the bots, the AI tools to scrape the content, I mean, for whatever reason, right? I mean, I think you're missing the chance to get your point across. So, I mean, today as marketers, now it's on us to create an experience not for humans, but also for machines and these agents that are going to scrape. And
It's
so,
crazy.
yes, it may feel overwhelming, but I think this is where AI is helping you improve that efficiency because you can take
Yeah.
that. Okay, this is my core content. Now, give me design that optimizes it for this audience, this audience, this audience, and
Yeah. The
this is where
personalization.
the streamline of workflow can really happen.
Yeah. The personalization piece is huge. It is interesting that people are not coming, when we talk about websites, we brought it up a couple times. So I just want to like close out on this because yes, bots need to be able to read your website and they need to be able to recommend you and or cite you. But when people come to your website, which is much further down the funnel now, they need to immediately convert. Like I'm finding you should see conversion rates higher.
Mhm.
And if you're not, if your traffic has plummeted but your conversion rates are not higher, Houston, you have a problem. Um, and you could definitely go fix that. But in terms of websites and that personalization piece too, how are you thinking about with less people coming to the website, with less data to act on? How is it that less is more aspect, or are you also feeling that sort of panic of like things have gone off a cliff here and we have less to work with and this is a problem?
I remember, I think it was 2.5, 3 years ago, I attended a conference where the keynote speaker said, websites are dead. We are no longer going to need websites, in 2 years' time. But that's not true, right? I
Here
mean,
we are.
here we are, websites are alive and kicking. But what's changed is, yes, by the time people decide to visit the vendor's website, they've already done the research. They know that now you are one of the vendor that they are looking to potentially include in their decision making matrix. And then the question becomes, when they visit your website, are you serving them the content as with that kind of mindset where they've taken all the steps, you know they've asked their AI to scrape your website, analyze your content, give them the feedback. They've looked at third-party data, and now they're doing the final push. And now they want to at least talk to a human. And before they do that, they are looking at the website to see if there's anything new, there's anything that would help them further their understanding in their journey. And this is where I think, yes, the awareness pieces definitely make sense, but then you have to figure out how are you serving the next piece of content, right? How are you serving them the next, kind of thing that would help them move forward in their journey. And I mean, now you're seeing more and more companies kind of ungate their content because
Mm-hmm.
what is the point if there are less number of people who are going to come in and your email address? I mean, if they're only going to provide you an email address when they're ready to have a conversation with you, so do you really want to restrict them from kind of improving their understanding, helping them go further down the kind of in their buying process, giving them your point of view, saying here is a new buying criteria that you should be aware of, that when you're evaluating the vendors, have you looked at this, have you looked at this aspect, have you looked at that aspect, right? So I think this is where you really have to kind of make a decision, and it may depend on industry. Maybe something, if you're in retail, maybe you don't want to start with everything ungated, but if you are in a high tech, maybe that's where you flip the switch. So there are things that you would have to change and evolve in order for you to connect with your buyers more effectively.
Yes, there's so much. There's a lot to do. There's a lot to do. We do have AI to help us do it, but I think so much of what you touched on, Ashish, in terms of the being AI native and that journey of ensuring that you're reading the signal, you have the human in the loop, you're understanding your customer impact, and then bringing that into market using AI every step of the way to help you, but making sure that it's you ultimately making the decision, having the right experts in the right places as well throughout is just so key to how we make all of these moving parts happen. I would say AI has not simplified our jobs; it's made it a little harder, but we are here for it and we
Yeah,
are
but
rising to the occasion.
I mean, the easiest way to explain it is your lens aperture has increased, right? I mean, yes, AI has helped you streamline it, but now the expectation is that you are going to do a lot more, that you were
Yeah,
not able to do before. I mean, from personalization to content acceleration to your constant updates to your messaging and positioning. I mean, all of this is kind of now given or expected from
true.
you, and yes, so the work. I mean, work is not going to reduce. I mean, you are probably going to end up spending the same or even more amount of work creating things and really optimizing it for the audience that you're trying to reach.
True. So true. Ashish, I'm so grateful for this conversation. Where can people find you if they want to learn more about being AI native and what it takes?
So definitely on LinkedIn. I mean, I would say connect with me on LinkedIn, send me a request. I'm happy to kind of have a chat and then share some of the things that I've been working on. As I said, I've been kind of a big Claude fan recently, and I've been trying to experiment. How do I pull in the signals by leveraging skills, agents, as well as MCP servers and clients to kind of pull in the data, kind of orchestrate kind of all the downstream activities and making sure that we are able to create something that's meaningful and really connecting with the buyers the right way.
The right way. Yeah, it's all about the buyer. It
Yeah.
totally is. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for this conversation. And thank you to those who joined us. I see some YouTube folks who appreciate you. If you're here on LinkedIn, be sure to comment and we will get back to you asynchronously because the conversation doesn't need to end and we are here for it. This episode was brought to you by MKG Marketing, the digital marketing agency that helps brands get found via SEO and digital ads. It's show is hosted by me, Carrie Yard, CEO and co-founder of MKG Marketing. And if you'd like to be a guest, DM me. I'd love to have you on. I have the rest of the year I need to fill, and I am looking for guests. So if you are a marketer and you have something to say about what is happening in marketing right now, I am here for it. Let's chat about it. DM me. Thank you all so much. Thank you again,
Thank you.
Ashish.